What are early signs of an abusive partner? Make it difficult for you to meet, cannot spend time with family or friends. What's the opposite of this? I practically beg my girlfriend to go spend time with her friends, and any time she does, super rare, she's like, I feel bad leaving you alone. Edit for clarification, there are no issues at all with me hanging out with my friends without her. I do it plenty and it has never been a problem. Codependence would be the word. Just be gentle with her and let her know you love her, but that it's healthy to see other people too. She'll probably realize that and start spending more time with friends, and it won't be a massive issue. I love you, but I think it's time you see other people, may need some slight adjustments in wording. They don't respect your boundaries. I never realized how important boundaries are in relationships until I dated someone who actively bulldozed through them. I never realized how important they are until I kept nudging the line further and further away from what boundaries I set. And by the end of it all, I realized I had no boundaries left, just don't kill me, and that was pretty ducked up. The slow erosion of the self is something that is hard to detect, and sometimes the guise it tries to surface as is compromise. Except when you look back, you find you're the only one who has made compromises in the relationship. Yes, so true. I was raised to always try to see the other person's point of view, accommodate, be the bigger person. I was raised to be abused. Edit. I appreciate the abundance of support in response to this comment, but need to add that I learned a great deal at a bad time in my life, and am now happily in a healthy relationship. Bless you all though. Same, it's nice to be a forgiving person that tries to make others happy, but it's the biggest pleaser set yourself up to be abused setup there is. I would upvote this twice if I could. If it's never their fault, they will find ways to separate you from friends and loved ones. Came here to tell this from personal experience. First, they always insist to come along when you are going with your friends. Then they start sulking and make you feel miserable for bringing them along until you decide not to go. My ex-wife, lol, would throw a fit if I did anything without her, even early on. But never wanted to actually go. If she did, she would make an excuse where we had to leave and throw a fit if we didn't. My ex-wife as well. The most exhausting human on the planet. I hope she meets my ex-boyfriend and they keep each other from enjoying anything. When everything you do, they always make it sound like nothing important. Downgrading it, belittling, anything of the sort. You're never as good as them, your hobbies or work isn't as hard as theirs, and you feel like you don't matter. Duck, I'm going through this RN. In our marriage, I feel like a side character in his story. I can't explain very well how shitty it feels. I too feel marginalized by my husband and pushed out of my own family. My self-esteem has been so eroded over years that I am no longer even me. I don't know how to get out because I have become nothing. You are not nothing. If you were nothing, he wouldn't need to keep pushing you down. When you are nervous next to them and relaxed when not. Controlling behavior, always assuming control, and undermining your ability to do anything yourself. Near the end of my last relationship, I couldn't even pick the correct things when grocery shopping. He'd immediately pick it up out of the cart, and then start lecturing me about making sure he'd pick the cheapest option. You could've gotten this instead, put that back, well, get it somewhere else, etc. As a grown woman, being lectured about my choice of chicken in the middle of a grocery store was super embarrassing. Now, I buy whatever the hell I want, and it's amazing how liberating something so simple can feel. For me, I could never go anywhere without him. Grocery, doctors, you name it. I especially hated going to the doctor because they'd ask if it's okay for him to be there with me, while he was also in the room, so I was afraid of saying no. Same goes for the dentist, he just expected that he'd allowed to be with me, and no one really questioned it until COVID. But he never allowed me too much time out of his sight. I couldn't even be in the bathroom for too long before he'd start asking me where I was. I never understood this. I usually have my husband accompany me on medical appointments because I've had horrible experiences with doctors and need some emotional support, plus they seem less likely to gloss over my issues when he's there. But they always ask me if there's any abuse at home right in front of him. No, there's not, but do you really think anyone is going to say yes when they are going home with that person right after the appointment? How stupid. Agreed. My wife likes me to go to some medical appointments with her because she said doctors not quite believe her, think that she's exaggerating, or tell her that she should rest and stop working out completely, an important part of her life. For some reason, some doctors seem to believe it more when I say it, even if I just repeat exactly what she told them. I've heard many women complain of doctors who just don't seem to believe them. Over the years we've found doctors that seem to have fewer unconscious biases, and now I probably only go to 10% of her appointments, if that. I imagine that it's tough for doctors to know if the other person is present because they were requested or because they are controlling. 1. Hates your friends' relatives and will repeatedly make critical comments, to isolate you. 2. Picks fights over silly things, to test boundaries. 3. Makes out that they're the only one who cares about you, to make you stare on them. 4. Repeatedly brings up the favors they've done, to get you to comply. 5. Makes promises they never keep, even the little ones, because it makes you look crazy and abusive when you get upset. 6. Subtle criticism of your clothes, body and behavior, so you'll be worn down and have low self-esteem because it makes you more compliant. 7. Gaslighting, so you question your sanity. 8. Controlling the income, stealing money, so you rely on them. 9. Spreading lies to those in your inner and outer circle, to isolate you. This isn't an exhaustive list, just some of what I went through before the abuse escalated to sexual and physical abuse. Just remember, sometimes you have to trust your instincts, and sometimes you have to forgive yourself because you won't see the warning signs until it's too late. My ex went so far as to blame a medical condition for him raping me. He never had that condition, it just fit his narrative so he could blame me. Edit to add, I also couldn't have a social life and go out with friends, but he could. Edit 2, thank you for all of your kind awards. I didn't expect this sort of response, but I hope people find my experience comment helpful to recognize situations they may find themselves in. Yes. When I was trying to figure out if my relationship was abusive, hint, if you're ever asking yourself this question, just get out, I didn't think he was isolating me, I could still see my friends and family, and did often. But then I realized I was always having to pick between them. He hated my grandparents. He hated my parents. My mom was a bitch. He didn't like my siblings, they were boring. He didn't like my friends, they were boring. So any time I'd want to spend time with my family friends, I was having to choose between seeing them and seeing him. Major holidays, family get-togethers, friends coming in town, it was almost always him or them. And if he would go, he would find a way to make the experience unenjoyable. And as far as the subtle criticism, I want people to know that jokes count, it's not just serious statements. Making mean jokes about the way you look, or act, or your preferences, etc. And if you ask them not to make jokes like that anymore, an abuser will tell you it was just a joke, you're being too sensitive, and will continue to use the jokes as ammunition. A healthy partner will not do this. Yeah, saying something is just a joke when someone is telling you it's hurtful is basically a dick move in almost any context. Gets angry and offended when confronted about their own issues and gaslights you into saying sorry or that it is you who has to do better in the end. Yep, they start by saying you are wrong. When you prove them they are wrong, it's pity parade time. Yeah, you are always right. I'm just so stupid and shitty. You are so much more clever than me. And in a clap, they became the victim. And then you start walking on eggshells and hyper-evaluating what you say before you say it, because you're never quite sure what's going to set them off and turn into a fight. But if you ever try to open up to them about how you feel like you are having to walk on eggshells around them, it becomes your fault. That's not healthy to do. How could you think so little of them, to feel like you need to do that? Why would you act that way around them? And suddenly a discussion about your feelings turns into a fight about how you've hurt them. Again. Rinse and repeat. Holy crap, this was me and my ex-GF. Every single time there was a disagreement, nearly always about how I was treating her, and just about every 2 to 4 weeks. She would insist I open up about how I felt, and it would get spun into how I'm wrong to feel that way because I routinely do blah blah to her. Then I stopped opening up and she wondered why, and I told her, because I have to walk on eggshells, and when I'm honest, it gets spun around on me. I finally got so exhausted pushing a boulder up a hill, I just had to step aside and let the boulder roll away.